Why hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is Chelsea of She Designs Things, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to get started in Google Sites, and particularly I'm going to be going over the different panels, what they do, what a Google site is, what's a template, what's a theme, what's an embed. If this interests you, then of course stay tuned. Okay, so first, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Chelsea. I'm a professional photographer, web designer, and graphic artist based out of Central Florida. I make Google site tutorials along with other design tutorials. I do also build other websites on other website builders, but I started this channel as a way to share with a lot of my clients who do use Google Sites how to make changes, how to start their own website if they're unable to have me manage or maintain one, but really just how to design something that looks good. So yeah, that's how I got to be me. So let's go ahead and start talking about Google Sites. What is a Google site? What does it do? How do I access it? You know, all that information. So first things first, what is a Google site? All right, so from Google, this is what they say a Google site is. They say, I'm going to highlight it, build internal project hubs, team sites, public-facing websites, and more, all without designer, programmer, or IT help. With Google Sites, building websites is easy. Just drag content where you need it. When you create a new site, it's automatically added to Drive like your other files and stored in Drive. You can edit a Google site together with someone else in real time and see each other's changes live. Publish the site for everyone to see or restrict sharing permissions and make the site accessible only to people you want to share it with, like vendors or suppliers. Google site websites are responsive, which means they're optimized for tablets, smartphones too. All right, so that's from Google. And most of that is true, with the exception, in my professional opinion, of the designer part. Yes, you can definitely get a Google site without a programmer. However, depending on your business needs, you might need all three of us. And just so you know, my degree is in business with a focus in information systems, so I am also IT support certified. But I digress. Let's go ahead and look at a Google site so we can talk about it a little bit more. So here we have the template gallery that is inside of your Google site. So to access the template gallery, you would simply be logged into a Gmail account and go to sites.google.com. Now, the problem with the template gallery for most people is they don't see what they need. Most people are going to look for a design, or a template, I should say, based on their industry. They can't really see past what it's labeled as. And honestly, that's the shortcoming for a lot of people when it comes to web design. They don't look at the template's footprint, because that's really what it is. What is the layout? How does the layout affect your design? What can you do to make it different and make it, just for you? So let's look at a Google site that I have created, and I want to go more in depth with the template, and then I'm also going to talk about a theme. So here we have, you guys might be familiar with this. It is my last video, Soul House. Soul House is a great example of a template and a theme as it pertains to a Google site. In general, and I mean general website terms, I'm not talking about Wix, Squarespace. I'm going to talk about more like a WordPress website. Website templates are pre-designed layouts, and they allow you to arrange content on a web page to create like a really nice design. Now, when it comes to a website template, it already has, generally speaking, the framework built in, like the web languages that it needs, the HTML and CSS, and it's already typically laid out the way you want it to. A website theme manages the front end of a design. And what I mean by the front end of a design, literally just like what you see. you know, the backgrounds, the color palettes, the headers, the footer, the positioning and sizing of the spacing around it, and the typography. That is going to be the theme. The colors and the text. That's a theme. And that's definitely a theme for Google Sites. When you're looking at your Google site, and this is one that I have created, obviously, it has specific colors and it has specific text and sizing on it. And that's because I'm using the themes panel. Themes are where things happen. Themes are extremely important to your Google site looking its absolute best. I'm so happy they created themes, because without it, Google sites were looking a little rough. So I'm going to actually import a theme from one of my other Google sites. This is something that you can do. When you're first starting out in your Google site, you probably won't have a custom theme, and you'll need to make one. And they're really easy to make, and I'll show you kind of towards the middle of this video how to make a theme for your Google site. So anywho, this is Soul House. Let's go ahead and bring in a theme. So I'm going to use the import theme. And the theme that I am going to import is going to be, I want something that's going to stand out quite a bit. I'm going to go with this theme. Select this. And once the theme is imported, you will have to click on it and then select import theme. Now, as you can see, I've imported the theme, and what has happened? What has occurred? The colors have changed. The font has changed. The spacing has changed, but the images and the layout remain the same. And again, the images and layout will remain the same because the only thing I changed was the theme of the website. That affects your colors, your typography, your spacing. You can have up to a maximum of 5 themes, and that really doesn't matter for me in this instance. So I'm going to change the theme to the photographer. And as you can see, once I changed to the photographer, it changed the colors again, but also the spacing. And if I go back to Soul House, the spacing changes once more. So again, spacing increase, change the colors, and again. All right, so I do hope that the theme section makes sense as far as changing the themes once you have them selected. So what is an embed? This page actually uses embeds, and they use them strategically. I highly recommend using embeds strategically. Don't just go, I'm going to embed this and I'm going to embed that and I'm going to throw this. Like, you don't, is it necessary? That's the first thing. Can a button or a link suffice? Like, do you really need to have the whole page embedded on there, like from another website? Probably not. And if you're unfamiliar with what an embed is, embedding refers to the integration of a link and image, videos, GIFs, any other content that is external from your website. Something that is not really a part of your website. So in Google Sites in anyway. So these buttons here, these are add to cart buttons. In a traditional website builder, the add to cart buttons would be integrated and the cart itself would be integrated, or you could use a plugin if you're using WordPress, but this is what it is. So let's go ahead and click the add to cart. And what happens once you add it to cart? Now I have 8 of them in my cart because I've been adding to cart all day. But if I want to go back to the website, I would hit continue shopping and that would take me back to the page. This design and the way it is utilizes these buttons that are not a part of the Google site, which is why when I change the theme, the colors remain the same. Again, which is why when I change the theme, the colors remain the same, because you can't affect something that's not naturally a part of your website, i.e. an embed. So there you have it. That's how the embeds work. I also use embeds here and down here, but everything else that I'm using outside of those buttons are a part of the Google site layout and the Google site design, which if you watch my previous video, and I'll try to leave a card up here, If you watch my previous video, I do kind of go over the layout and how to change it, kind of how to make it more responsive because it is based on a different design. All right, so let's go ahead and start getting into that side panel. So here we are back in the template gallery, and I'm actually going to use a template that's already done inside of Google Sites in case you want to follow along. The template I'm going to use for this Google site is the restaurant. So I'm going to open up the restaurant and kind of go over why I selected it, but also just to show you this panel. So when you first open a Google site, you usually have notifications here, but because again, I create them and I have plenty of them, I don't receive any of those notifications about building a Google site. What does happen is if you start from scratch, it will tell you to start with a template to give you kind of an idea of what to do. Now, the reason I selected this template is because it's going to offer me the best view as far as layout goes. And again, this is all about the template portion. So let's start with this page here, starting with this page here, everything that you see occurring here. So let's go ahead and start with the text icon. This section here that has the text box, images, embed, and drive cannot be dragged and dropped into your Google site. They are selections, and once you make the selection, it appends it to I think it actually attaches it to the section that you were last working in or at the bottom. So for example, text, it'll add it to the bottom, not in the footer, but the very bottom. So if you wanted to move this text box, once it adds it to the bottom, you would take it, click on the text box itself, and drag it. And you can drag it to the position that you want it in. So for this example, I'm just going to drag it right underneath reservations. And then if you wanted to add some text, there you have it. Your text has been added. Now I'm just going to undo those because I don't really want any of those changes. Now, next thing, if you want to add an image, you can select the image and upload or select. For this, I'm going to choose the upload option just to kind of explain what upload is. You can upload it, and I'm going to select the last one I chose, and it'll add it to the bottom. Now, once you upload an image, you're also able to resize the image by dragging various points on it. And let's say you've resized the image and now it looks like this, and you're like, oh man, how do I make it look the way I want to? If you want the image to span the width, you're going to have to uncrop it. So select uncrop right here, this icon, and that will allow you to uncrop the image. You can also drag the corner and then uncrop it again, and it would make it the crop that it's already in. Now I'm just going to undo all of those actions because again, don't need any of those done. The next one we have is an embed. If you select embed, you have the option to embed a URL or embed code. I'm going to embed a URL, and I'm going to use my not my website, but I'm actually going to use my website. I'm going to use the Bokeh Lens website as an example because I do allow embed. So copy, and I'm going to paste the URL here. And when you're embedding a URL, it's going to give you an example. It's going to say, do you want to use a preview, the whole page, or preview? For this, I'm going to use the whole page just to show you what it looks like. And now you see I have that box that comes up there. If I wanted to remove that, I would have to already have that included so that the box doesn't show up there. And I'll show you why. If we look at the preview mode, now I have that box still there. And on the phone, it's even worse. Like, it just drives me crazy. It just doesn't look good. It's not a good look. So exit, but that's one of the reasons why full page embeds like this, like embedding an actual website, doesn't work. It's just not a good look. Now let's see, I'm going to delete that section, And under the embed as well, you have the option to choose an embed code. Now, embed code is how I was able to add those buttons into here. It is using the HTML, which if you want to use the full page HTML, that's in a different location, and I'll show you where that's at. But embed code, this is where you would put your buttons, any sort of external embeds you want to have on this website. All right, so last in this top section is Drive. If you select Drive, it's going to bring up anything in your Google Drive, anything shared with you that you want to have displayed here on your website. So I am going to use this PDF as an example. So insert, and now I've inserted it in here, and now I think, oh no, I don't really care for what it looks like. I kind of want it to display the whole PDF all the way down. So to do that, you just kind of take it and you'll drag it down all the way to the bottom if you want it to. But mine does have 5 pages on it, so I'm only going to display like the first page. And now let's click preview. And again, same issue. You're going to see the fillable PDF, and someone viewing your site will be able to click on it and it'll open it up, and they'll be able to see the information here and download it if they wanted to. All right, so moving on, let's talk about the content blocks. Content blocks and how they're used inside of your Google site. So you have various pre-made layouts that you can drag and drop into your Google site. So for example, if I want to add something like 3 images, that's what the mountain with the little sun icon is, just so you know, but no text, I would use this, and I would just drag it, and I would drag it, let's say I want it right underneath the header section. And there you have it. Now I can upload that content. Now, one thing about it is Google has updated what these blocks did before. Before they were just images. Now you can actually use them to display any bit of information, whether that be from an upload, an image, the drive, YouTube, a calendar, or maps. So you do have the option of making this any content that you want it to be. The next section that you want to take a look at would be this 3 image section. It's actually one of my favorites to use because a lot of websites use this design, use this flow, and so Google has made it simple to just drag it and drop it in there. So this is a very common layout, section layout, and that's why you see it that way. The same can be said for the very first one. I'm going to drag it and drop it in there. Actually drag and drop. This you'll see a lot when it comes to like a hero section. This is quite common where you'll have an image, some text, and then generally speaking, I'll move that button over, a button. So an action, a call to action, and that is why this layout is kind of cool as well. Now the section down here that has all the differing things that you can do, all the various options and ways of doing things. I'm going to be honest here and say literally everything I just showed you and everything down here you can already do if you were to click on something, or if you double click. If you double click anywhere on your Google site, you're able to access the same information that is listed here, as well as upload something into your Google site. You can also upload something by simply dragging and dropping it into your Google site from, say, your desktop or a file. It really doesn't matter. So although these are here for you to use, if you are brand new to Google Sites and you have no idea what you're doing, go ahead, take advantage of these here. But as a professional, I'll be honest, I don't use these whatsoever. All right, so scrolling on down, like I said, we have these here, but let's say, for example, you want to create a collapsible group. You can click on the collapsible group and that will bring up these 2 text boxes here for you to create a collapsible group. And then you can also make them uncollapsible if you don't want them to be collapsible anymore. Drag this here just so you can see. Double select them. Once there's 2 text selections here, you can actually make it collapsible. So now it's collapsible, and you know, I didn't have to go over here and create a collapsible group. You can also add images into your collapsible group. So I'm going to add that at the bottom and then open up. And as you can see, I have that image there. Now, if it looks funny to you, you can spread it, make it bigger. And then sometimes when you're working with it, if you already have it set to collapsible, it's going to close whenever you click out of the area. So to make it easier to work with, turn off the collapsible icon just right there. And then for the image, we're going to uncrop. And now that we've done that, all you'll do is select all the elements. So click the whole group just as it is and turn the collapsible icon back on, and boom, now it's collapsible again. And that's it. And this is actually how I create menus that are outside of the menu section under pages. So turn this off and I'm going to redo all those changes. Now, one thing that I do like is if I'm making a single page design, the table of contents does come in handy because you can use the table of contents to be able to create a menu if you prefer or if you wanted to. There's only 2 headings on this page, which is why there are only 2 headers that come up here for me to use. But in order to use the table of contents, you do have to be using a header or a title to be able to create that table of contents. All right, so the next we have the image carousel, which a lot of people don't like the image carousel. I don't even use it. I usually bring in my own image carousels, ones that I like. Now, all you have to do is select it and then you can bring in an image. So I'm going to upload 2 images, this one, and actually I'm going to upload all 4 of these. Just upload these images and let me see, delete that one. 4 images here and hit insert. And once you select insert, the images will show here. So I'm going to resize, kind of make them small just so you can see. If you select preview, you'll be able to see the images as they show up inside of here, the image carousel, and you can just select the images or you can use it as an auto start stop. Like you can actually turn on the carousel in the settings icon here right above the carousel and change how it works. So select auto start and we can make it go very slow, medium, fast. I'm going to say fast and click update. And then now they selected fast and update, they're going to cycle through the images kind of rather quickly. So there you have it. That's how you would use the image carousel. Buttons are literally what they sound like. A button is here, a button is there, a button is everywhere. I'm going to move this back to the center, move this button here. Buttons, you can make them do a lot of things now. You can actually make a button make phone calls. So if you wanted to make this be 800 555 0162, what did I say? 800 555 0162 dash. You couldn't type it like this. You actually have to make it a telephone number. I've made it a telephone number by typing the word tell and then a colon, and then now I'm actually able to make a call. So that's how you make a call. So by using the word tell, colon, and then the phone number. And just for you can see once more, again, that's tell, colon, phone number with, I put dashes, but let me see if it works without dashes. Update. Yep, and it works without dashes as well. All right, so going on, we have a divider. If you click the divider and drag it and just let it go in, it'll just kind of go in because you can't drag this where you want. Same for this. You can't drag them. Can't drag it. Can't. So these icons here cannot be dragged into the Google site. But I digress. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other things that you can do. A lot of this is self-explanatory, which is why I'm not even going to bother to go over it, because forms, sheets, slides, docs, charts, all of this information can be found inside of Drive. And so you can either come here and select it, or you can do what I said, which was double click and then select from Drive if you want it to, which is down here. This is Drive, or you can select in Drive right here. Or if you want, you can use a placeholder. Say you're creating a map of your website, which I highly recommend doing. A lot of people don't do that. They just go in blind and they don't even bother to create a map of their website of what they want it to look like, which is why their websites usually turn out pretty bad. So placeholder, you can select it. It does exactly what it says, holds the place. And say you want it to match the size of another thing. You can use the duplicate section once you create a section, and then just drag that whatever you created right into the other section. Duplicate this again if you wanted to. Now what happens if you duplicate it again and then you drag this here? This one will be smaller and this one will be smaller. And then if they're too small, you can actually just bring them down, drag them, and then both of those will be the same size. And that's how you can get various layouts and use the placeholder option to create those layouts. All right, so now I've gone ahead and deleted all of that information. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the pages portion of your Google site. So pages is exactly what it sounds like. It's the pages of your website. A number of my websites, my templates do not use these being shown, which is why if you click on preview, I don't have this bar here, nor do I have the search feature because I don't really care for it. I don't need people searching. So what I do, there are tons of sites where you're going to need that search feature. So better to have it remain, but I'm not one of them. Now here you can actually add more pages, add a link, add your full page embed, and add menu sections. So a menu section is exactly what it says. Like, say you have the menu of what you serve food wise. If you wanted to, you could go and say menu and title this food. I'm just gonna say food menu. And now that I have a food menu, you'll see that this is a section, but it's not clickable. So to make it clickable, you're gonna have to add a page to it. So I'm gonna add the menu to it. Booyah. All right. And now let's say if you want to section out your menu, I'm going to just duplicate this page. And instead of calling it a copy, I'm gonna say vegan. So we'll say that's vegan options, duplicate, and we'll say side items. And you get the gist of it. If you were going to be creating a menu, this is where the section would come in handy. So viewing the site, I'm just going to click view if you wanted to, menu, and then there you have it. All those can go there. You can close it, you can open it, select menu, brings you to the page menu. I'm not going to talk about in this video the full page embed. Like I said, I wanted to keep this simple, and the link does exactly what it says. If you select link, you can add a link to a new page or link to something else. I'm going to copy my site and I'm going to just say view done. All right, so now that I have that, and I'm gonna open this here, view the bokeh lens, and it's going to kind of redirect it, but open it in the same menu, same window, which a lot of people don't pay attention to. That is something you do. You can actually check if you want to have it redirect to something else, so, like open in the same menu. So all right, so here let's get into themes, which is one of my favorite aspects of your Google site, how to build Google sites and sort of just kind of general Google sites. And I wanted to share this page, in particular the menu page, because this is a great example of what I discuss in all of my videos, which is to be aware of page layout and how they act inside of your Google site. So here Google has laid this out in a very specific way. The appetizer, main course, and some desserts. I mean, this is some cheap food if you ask me compared to what it is now. You have all of these foods, but if you notice, it's not really like what most people would expect. A lot of people like that bounce look, so I'm going to move this here. And this is what you would want to see. However, this is not what you would see if you were to click on a mobile view, like mobile view, just like this. You get the main course and the appetizer would be in the center and the photo would follow after. So it does not lay out the way you think, because everything to the left shifts to the right within a section. Again, everything to the left shifts to the right within a section. I cannot stress that enough. That's like, I say that all the time, but I'm saying it again. Everything to the right shifts to the left. But let's say you want to change the way it looks. You want it to be sort of a thick and bold, or something that's a little more chunky. There we go, impression, green, and then let's make it capital. There you have it. There you go. That's how you make that theme with those impressions. The only thing I do not like is that you can't change within their preset themes the fonts that they use, and such as Vision, which will give you the line, that underline right there. You can't change the font. You can't select your own font. You can only use the fonts that Google provides here. And while they're not terrible, they are not the absolute best, and they're not what I would use. So let's talk about themes and why you have to make your own one if you want your Google site to look its absolute best. So here, let's start with a new theme. So I'm going to create a theme, and I'm going to just title this theme the restaurant. Not all cap. Well, maybe all capitals. So what do I want to call it? The restaurant. Rest. A-U-R. I got a mic in front of me and it's like so hard to see what I'm doing. Rant. So there we go. Now here you can select some preset colors that Google has created, and you can kind of, see what colors those are. I'm going to select this minty color here. And then for the font, I am literally just going to open up the fonts and select impact for the titles and headings, and a very common one, which would be not Roboto. Yes, actually, let's go with that, normal, and create the theme. All right, so now we have this theme that is like this cream color and this tan color and this green color. Now, what's going on with the font? Why is it so blurry? Why is it so fizzy? This is where you have to go in the theme and make customizations. So let's go ahead and go on back to the home page. So here we have the home page, so you can see everything clearly. I left that bar there. Let me delete it. There we go. And back to themes. Now let's change the text a bit. When you open text, it's going to start on the normal text. I like to start not with the normal text, but with the title. So the title will always automatically set to bold. I'm going to remove the bold because it's not necessary. We're using an impact font. For the font size on a title, I err on the side of really big. So I'm going to make this about, say, a 50. The line spacing, again, you can change this here, or you can change it when we go further down the spacing. So I'm gonna set this to 1 though. And as you see, that kind of shifted the information up. Now for the heading, the heading will be impact as well, and it is set to bold. So I'm going to take off bold, and then I'm going to increase the size of the header. And I'm going to increase the size of a header to about, say, 24. And now that it's increased to 24, the line spacing is set to 1.25. I'm going to set it to 1. And as you can see, now the lines are much more compressed and compact. This is set to 18. I'm going to delete that and set it to 5 again. And now let's move on to subheading. Subheading is set to 14. Let's go ahead and change the subheading font entirely. And we're going to change the subheading font to be something that matches the normal font, but just a little more oomph in it. So instead of it being normal, we are going to set it to, that was because I was off of it. Instead of it being normal, we're going to set it to medium. Okay. And now it's medium, and I think that works out. That looks fine. So let's add a bit of text here, and we're going to title this a subheading, and let's just say hello, center there, so that we can see what it looks like. So hello there, and then add another bit of text, which is normal, and I am going to just copy this information here, copy, and when you're pasting, paste this plain text so that it can match whatever you placed it in at. Center. Ta-da! All right, so as you can see, we have the heading, subheading, and then the regular text. And let's take this that's before and set it to 5. All right, so that's the subheading, and now the normal text. Let's take this and set it to 5. So as you can see, shifted it up. That's just adjusting the spacing, again, the paragraph spacing. So now we can start looking at the tab that I skipped, and I am skipping on purpose the small text because most people won't use it. So I'm gonna just skip it, but let's go to colors. We already pre-selected the colors, but if you are creating your own colors, your own color schemes, you have your own business designs with color schemes, this is where you want to make those changes. So always have it show all options. It just makes it easier. And this is where you can change the stylization. So if you want the buttons here, let me just put something here. We'd have to bring a button in. So button, hello, and the link to the menu, and I'm gonna drag this button here. Now as you can see, it's a dark colored button, and if you really wanted to change the color of the button, you would actually have to change it under components. And when you're changing in components, pay attention to the section that you're changing. So the section is green, so to change that button color, I would have to change the filled button color. So I'm going to change the filled button color to the cream color. Done. And if I wanted, say, a different color, maybe I wanted a red, there it is. If I wanted to add my own colors, I would do so here. You can add either your hex colors or an RGB color. But that is essentially how you would change the colors considering on the components. And if it was a link and you wanted to, say, highlight a link here, I'm going to highlight this and make it a link to contact us, apply. And as you can see, that's what it did to the link. Let's make the link a different color. Maybe we'll want the link to be red so that people know it's a link. There you have it. An active dot. The active dot has to deal with the image carousel. You can preview it here if you wanted to. You can actually preview all of these, by the way. And you know, make it be what it is. Now that's just a simple way of showing you what these things do inside of this panel. Moving on, let's look at the navigation. Like I said, I don't use the navigation menu, but if you wanted to, you totally could. When scrolled, this affects what happens when you're scrolled. Maybe it's transparent at the top, or maybe it's a solid color. So solid color, transparent, solid color, transparent. And then side navigation, if you prefer, you can actually change the navigation view when you're looking at it on, say, a desktop. So you can make it the foreground color, and then you can select the foreground color, whatever color you wanted it to be. If you wanted it bold, underline it. Maybe you want to underline it with red. So there we have it, underline with red. Maybe you prefer shading. Maybe you prefer a line beside. It's all has to do with on the side navigation what that would look like. So just keep in mind all the changes that you can make whenever you're making your changes inside of your themes. Now, another section that people don't pay attention to is the images. Images is where you can predetermine what your headers, like all headers, what the header image will look like. You can upload that here. Same for the logo, and then of course your fave icon. A fave icon is the icon that shows up inside of the window when you're viewing it. So here's an example. I'm gonna bring in this one. Here's an example on mine. It shows the bokeh lens. That is the fave icon. And then of course on Firefox, you have the Firefox fave icon. So that is what a fave icon is. And then we also have your logo, which will show up right here. And if you were to say add logo, you can upload them here or you can just add them from here. Spacing, like I said, is something that people overlook. It is the newest, well, second newest. Well, it's the newest of the themes, I should say. The newest thing they've added to themes is spacing. You have the option of being comfortable, which is what it's set to, compact, to make everything more condensed, or cozy, where it's not so roomy. Comfortable obviously is roomy. Cozy is exactly what it sounds like. A little, you know, it's a little cozy, a little quaint. And compact, you guys are all squished together now. And that's how it looks. Now on a mobile device, it actually does take those attributes as well. Now you can see that all of these have been compressed, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like beforehand. When it's in the comfortable view, everything shifts down. You know, you have a lot more space in between things. So there's that comfortable view versus everything in that compact view, which, you know, it gives you the full image here. You can actually see it. All right, so I do hope this video has been helpful and informative. I know that there is a lot of information that I covered in this Google site video, and I did it, as I said, as a precursor to my upcoming video. I'm not sure exactly when I'll make it because I still want to know what it is that you guys want me to make, so be as specific as possible. But it's a precursor to my how to design a Google site, you know, website from a designer's perspective, me. And I'll kind of go over in that video. It's going to be quite long. I will probably break it up into parts because there is just so much to cover. So much to cover when it comes to any form of web design, yet alone a Google site. There's just so much that I'd have to cover about the design aspect, and I don't even get me started on the connection and SEO, all that. So anywho, I did want to make this video just for that reason. So I do hope it was helpful and that it has clarified some things as far as creating a Google site. All right, so thanks so much for watching, and of course, laters.